that crowd, they know who it is. They know the name. The next generation indeed.
Next gen. That's his nickname.
What's up, Steelers fans? I'm starting the segment in the second rain delay of the game, so we do not yet know what the final result is, but I wanted to talk about how the Steelers bookended the first half with a couple of the most impressive drives, both from their offense and defense, that you'll ever see, and then closed it out with one of the most aggravating 5 minutes of football that you'll ever see. Starting with the offense, it was good to see George Pickens get a hot start early with that quick hitch route that he was able to take himself and turn into a medium gain and a first down. And then a couple plays later, the 38-yard deep corner from Pickett. Speaking of hot starts, Najee Harris in the running game also. Jalen Warren and Harris both almost had 50 rushing yards in the first half there. And what you saw in the first drive was complementary football, where the rush is opening up the pass, which is then in turn helping to loosen up the rush even more. To open up the pass, to open up the rush, popcorning those things back and forth and keeping the defense off balance is really what being a offensive play caller is about. On the other side of the ball, the Steelers started out as impressive as you can be since that Browns game where they had the pick six on the first play of the game, obviously. First down, the run defense. Cam Hayward was in on that play. The Steelers have returned to being an elite defense since Hayward has returned, especially in the run defense department. And Minka, who was also actually in on that first down tackle with his return today, they should be able to do the same thing. He should be able to have a similar effect on the back end of the pass defense as Cam Hayward has had on the front end of the rush defense. On second down, you had Keanu Benton getting into the backfield and batting down a pass. I don't think it was that swim move that we've seen him dominate offensive linemen with, but it wasn't necessarily a clean win, but it was just a very powerful man getting where he needed to go and not taking no for an answer. And then on third down, they dialed up the heavy rush, a six-man rush, and Kyler Murray, who's still getting his eyes back up to game speed after missing all that time with his injury, was overwhelmed with the pressure that he saw. Forced him to get rid of the ball too quick. Word started to fall apart for the Steelers offense was third downs. Obviously, they started 0 for 4 in third down conversions. The first one was a breakdown with Jalen Warren, a rare breakdown with him in pass protection where he missed the rusher and gave a free shot in Pickett and hit his arm as he was throwing. Almost that could have been ruled a fumble if he had gotten there just a moment earlier. The Steelers actually almost turned the ball over on both of their first two third down conversion attempts. Obviously, the hitting Pickett's arm in the first one, and then the bad snap that Pickett had to just abort the play and just fall on. I don't remember what happened on the third down conversion attempt, but the fourth one, they actually dialed in the right play against they were seeing a heavy blitz, and they called a screen to Jalen Warren, but it was just a little too slow to develop, and they were able to affect the pass. But if that thing does get out clean, Jalen Warren has a lot of room to run with it because of how many defenders the Cardinals put into the Steelers' backfield. Don't try to spin Dan Moore's penalty against him, the illegal formation. They actually did that twice in this game so far. There's another one early in the second half. I don't know how you can draw up a play and not realize that, I'm deserting this entire left side of the line of scrimmage, leaving my lineman unblocked. How do you not know that's an illegal play when you're drawing it up? I mean, I know that you have a rookie offensive coordinator in Eddie Faulkner, but the guy calling the plays has done it before, and maybe we're seeing why he no longer did it, why he was removed from that job, and why he was not given that responsibility when he was hired here. We say all the time with these players, the young guys coming in, that they're going to make these rookie mistakes. The key is just don't repeat the rookie mistakes. When you have coaches making rookie mistakes and then repeating those rookie mistakes, that's where you really start to get exasperated, because those are the people who were supposed to be fixing the mistakes, not adding to them. So, I'm not going to go as far to say that Matt Canada would have won this game, but, you're seeing why the Steelers were hesitant to make a move in season, because they knew that, on the other side of it, when you're trying to piecemeal things together with guys who have either not done the job before or have done it not well, obviously the results are going to speak for themselves. The fourth down play at the goal line, I would have either kicked that field goal, or if I was going to run it, I would at least, gone heavy, gone 23 personnel, gone in tight. And, you just lost your quarterback. You weren't fooling anyone going into shotgun. They weren't concerned with your throwing the ball. The most confusing thing about that play to me is Isaac Seumalo had gone down on that previous play with Kenny Pickett, and they still try to run to the left behind Dan Moore and the backup left guard, Nate Herbig there. When on the other side you have James Daniels, Broderick Jones, the tight end, Darnell Washington, road pavers. You have a yellow brick road over here on the right To the left, you have spooky woods with thunder and, giant evil spiders and whatnot. And they think, you know what? I'm going to take the left path here. I'm going to take the path less traveled here. So they could not have had a more disastrous end to that first half with losing Pickett and Samalu and then Landon Roberts on early in that drive. They came out and announced that Landon was done, certainly before Pickett they announced, but awful quick after he went down. So, you hate to speculate, but it seems like they know that something fairly significant is going on there. And that's something that the Steelers inside linebacker room could not withstand after losing Cole Holcomb, Quan Alexander. Now, the third guy that they brought in, there's supposed to be an entirely revamped room. Suddenly we're down to the Mark Robinson and Michael Walker, which, bless his heart, I was getting ready to sing his praises until Landon went down and he was called up into an even bigger role that he was just exploited over the middle on that long touchdown drive, the 99-yarder. From the Cardinals to end that first half. And then the way they finish it off with the touchdown that was ultimately ruled incomplete, I thought it was notable that the referee had no explanation to offer. It seemed like somebody from the booth said, you know what, we took a touchdown away from Deontay Johnson on a very similar play last week. We're not giving a touchdown to these guys on this week. And the referee was like, well, how do I explain it to the crowd? And he was like, I don't know, just figure something out. Immediately after that, if you're a defensive play caller, you might think, we just got our tight end robbed of a touchdown here. Let's try to make that right. Let's try to get him his touchdown back. Maybe we should double that tight end. But no, that would be crazy and nutso and bonkers. Obviously, predictably, they go right back to him on the very next play. He got away with a big shove off, but they weren't going to take another touchdown away from him. Other positives from the first half, the Highsmith sack. Looked like the left tackle was a little bit late out of his stance, and Highsmith just a speed rush around the outside. Dipped right under the tackle's hands. Didn't need to use any of his hands of his own. TJ had a very similar sack early in the second half. Both those guys, TJ and Alex, off the edge are so fast and twitchy that they're constantly forcing tackles against them to get a bit of an early start. Because if they get even a split second of a late start, you see what happens. They don't have a hope, and they get their quarterbacks killed. It must be even harder when you have a free rush at the guy to throw on the brakes and stop. And you could say the same thing about the Landon Roberts penalty. It looks worse than it was because the guy ended up getting hurt. But you saw what happened last week when Highsmith came in with his helmet held high. That's a penalty. You lower your head to try to get under their helmet. That's a penalty. This isn't any neutral territory as far as whining about football officiating goes. But if I were a coach or a player, I would be legitimately confused as to how to go about doing my job in a way that's not going to get me in trouble, not going to get me fined, not going to get me benched because I keep taking penalties because I don't know what a clean play is anymore. TJ Watt, I love watching him play the read option. Pretty much his plan on it is I'm just going to hit whoever the scarier runner is, whether he's got the ball or not. In this last meeting against the Ravens, you saw Zay Flowers take the brunt of that mean streak that TJ has in him. So like I was saying, he takes the scarier runner of the two, and he's going to neutralize them and strongly encourage they give the ball to the other guy. And no disrespect to James Conner. Obviously, I loved him when he was here, even as a Penn State fan. How can you not love that story? But Kyler Murray is the player that you need to slow down in that situation, and TJ did just that. Went right around Connor and was like, nope, I'm dealing with you. And then early in the second half, they ran it again, except this time Kyler's reading Highsmith on the left. And Highsmith collapses in on the running back. Kyler pulls the ball back out, bends the edge. I guess they don't study the read option that much in whatever conference Charlotte plays in. I want to say the MAC. Levi Wallace, a guy who's taken some significant hate of late from Steelers fans, saved a touchdown, at least momentarily, late in that first half with a nice open field tackle. Welcome back. Fortunately, that second delay was the final delay of the afternoon. Unfortunately, this will go down as one of the more demoralizing Steelers losses of my recent memory. Right up there with the playoff loss to the Browns that ended Marquise Pouncey's career. The big story, even bigger than the loss today, and the Steelers lost a lot more than a football game today to a very bad football team. Kenny Pickett going down. The only starting caliber inside linebacker going down. TJ. He said after the game in the interview that he was fine, but he sure didn't look fine. I didn't see the initial injury, but I did see him try to come back a number of times and leave the field in progressively worse and worse pain. In his post-game press conference, TJ was asked about the play that he appeared to get hurt on, and the reporter saying that TJ was pretty blatantly held on that play. TJ bluntly agreed and was tried to be pretty politic in his response, but basically said that the NFL has it out for him, and that's why he doesn't get as many of the holding calls as he should, and draws a disproportionate amount of the roughing the passer penalties. And we as fans all knew that, but it's interesting to hear the guy say it. There may be a fine coming from it. I'm sure the clip's going to go viral. I'm sure you've heard it already. Against that defense especially, only mustering 10 points is not enough. Mitch Trubisky said after the game that the offense just wasn't detailed enough. He referenced getting everyone lined up where they need to be, going back to what I was saying about the illegal formation penalties. Speaking of Trubisky, he had a couple nice throws today. Deontay saved him a little bit on the long one. That was a pretty high throw that Deontay was able to go up and bring down with a fingertip catch. I don't think there will be, nor do I think there should be a quarterback controversy. When Kenny's ready, he'll be the guy again. Backup quarterback in the NFL is a sneaky hard job. It's not just hanging out in a ball cap holding a clipboard. Being called on cold to come off the bench, to come do one of the hardest jobs that you can do during peacetime on American soil, that's no slouch job. And with all the slings and arrows I'm throwing at the Steelers offense for not being good enough, the Steelers defense, which I touted earlier for being back to the elite unit they were since they got Cam Hayward back, they weren't good enough either. They gave up 105 yards and 2 touchdowns to James Conner. The Cardinals put the ball on the ground twice in one drive, and the Steelers weren't able to make them pay for it. They almost gave up another touchdown had it not been nullified due to penalty. This defense is so built around splash and confusion and taking the ball away that when there are unforced errors and those plays are there to be made, not making them just feels so deflating. But Bill Belichick famously said, we're on to Cincinnati. We're actually going to pull the inverse of that and head back to the East Coast. We're heading on to New England. Thursday Night Football this week. If there's one time that you don't mind the short week, it's when you want to get back on the field after an embarrassing performance. So those guys are going to be motivated to show that, that's not their true identity against another pretty pathetic team. But, the Steelers team has for years now, decades, we've had a reputation of playing down to subpar talent, and we did it today. But the one good thing, the other good reputation of Mike Tomlin coach teams is they have a way of following up bad losses with very impressive wins. So let's hope that pattern continues